Heyo, and what is up, everybody? Thank you so much for joining us here on the channel again today. We are here to talk about the first 2 episodes of the opening round of the Mae Young Classic, and we are going to talk about it right here and right now on the one and only, newest, fastest rising, hottest podcast in all of the YouTube wrestling community, the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. So, let's do this, baby.
The Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
Alright, wrestling fans, thank you so much for tuning in. Once again, welcome back to the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. I am your host, Nick Nightmare. This is my boy, Blue, the Snowball Microphone, the World Heavyweight Champion of all the microphones in all the world. And we are here to bring you our coverage of the opening round of the Mae Young Classic, most specifically episodes number 1 and 2. We watched the whole entire thing this morning. I had a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun watching this show. Was it as good as the Cruiserweight Classic? Absolutely not. But it would be unfair to compare the two. It's apples and oranges. Cruiserweight wrestling is much more high impact, high flying, acrobatic, impactful, just a lot more to ooh and ah at during a Cruiserweight match than, well, there used to be anyway, until they brought the Cruiserweight division up to the main roster, as we all know very well. But the Mae Young Classic was a lot of fun. It is not, however, without its faults, mainly being the way they set up these brackets. I do not like the opening matchups that they put together, mainly because if you watch my preview and prediction show, you will know that there are a lot of names on that list that I wanted to go a long way. And coming out of the first round, many of them did not. So I think they could have booked it a little better. Some of these names should have been in there a little bit longer, and we're going to get into a little bit more of that. That's really my only complaint about this whole thing. I don't like the particular matchups, and I'm not too happy with some of the winners so far after the first round. So let's get into that. Let's go to the Mae Young screen so we could look at some of these crappy brackets that I have here. But before we get into the match card, I want to talk about 2 other things that I want to highlight. First of all, take a look at this trophy. Look at this thing. Now, I know what you're thinking. You probably think that I hate this, but I don't. This is fucking beautiful. And when you see it live in the arena during the Mae Young Classic, and it's all chiseled in glass, and it's all illuminated by light, and it's got lights underneath it shining up through it, and it's got a frosted glass bottom and crystal clear glass going all the way up top. It's probably fucking like 100 pounds if it's not hollow on the inside. But it is an absolutely breathtaking sculpture, and I applaud this one hands down. You guys are used to me tearing them down because the Cruiserweight Classic trophy was disgusting. It was a fucking globe on a tower speaker. It was terrible. And I wasn't a fan of the Dusty Classic one. It's a very traditional style trophy. It's a little ugly looking, old fashioned. The coolest thing about it is it has Dusty's boots on it. You know, so still, I would love to have that, but if I had to make a choice, I would rather go home with something like this. Fucking beautiful. Plus, what makes it even better, check this shit out. When I put myself back here, you may not have noticed this before I pulled myself away. Look at this. It's like maybe I'm the king of NXT, huh? Look at this. Huh? Check out my fucking crown here, huh? Let's not get sidetracked too much by the crown. Let's go on. One other thing. Jessica Carr, the referee, the female referee. I'm going to tip my hat and say fantastic job. And I'm going to pay a compliment to her right now by saying I didn't even notice she was fucking there. That is probably the best compliment I could give her, because what that means is that she's doing her job and she's doing it to perfection. Because as a wrestling fan, you should know the way I know that when I'm watching wrestling, I'm not really looking at the ref. Like, I'll see who it is at the start of the match, and, I'll know whether it's Little Nate, Charles Robinson, or if it's the Armstrong guy, or whoever it is. But she did not stand out, which made her even better. I was afraid that by them announcing it and bringing attention to the fact that we have a girl referee, it was going to make it more of a big deal than it is. But I like what we did here, and I didn't even notice it. They didn't announce it or make a big deal about it for every match, like, oh, this match is featuring Jessica Carr, and she just blended right into the background the way she's supposed to. And she did a great job. She was on top of the action. She was doing breakups. She was fantastic. She was very, very good at her job. So hats off to you. And the less I notice you, the better. And that's not a knock on the way she looks or her facial expressions or her appearance. It's nothing about that. That is a referee's job, to not be noticed. So she's doing a fucking great job. So let's get into episode 1. Episode 1 started off with a bang. And they came right out with Princessa Suhei, who is the longest tenured grappler in this tournament, wrestling for over 2 decades, going up against the superstar from Scotland, the Daredevil, Kaylee Ray. Now, this is an example of why I hated these fucking brackets, because I wanted Kaylee Ray to go a long way. I actually said that a Kaylee Ray versus Kairi Sane final would be fucking awesome, and after seeing Kaylee Ray going one-on-one against Suhei, I think it would have been fucking fantastic, but there is no chance of that happening now, as Princess Suhei would get the win over Kaylee Ray in what I would describe as a slow-going, somewhat sloppy start of a match. By the end, these girls got their groove. I'm going to just chalk it up to nerves. You're the first match out there. None of the other girls got a chance to perform yet. Obviously, everybody's nervous. You want to put your best foot forward. And it kind of showed in the beginning. But all of a sudden, the professionalism just kicked in, and these girls were hitting each other. Kaylee Ray's facials were fucking fantastic. Her expressions and everything she did, from the frustration that she showed by not being able to put Suhei away, to what she did on Impact, the way she reacted to every move. She's a natural at this thing, and she needs to be signed. If you want to ask me, get Kaylee Ray, get her right now, get her in NXT. She's fucking fantastic. You didn't let her win, you didn't let her go on past the first round, great. Make her reward a contract for NXT because she was great. The Princessa we're going to get to see more of, and I'm glad, because I feel like she didn't really show me too much. I was not overly impressed with anything she had to show, but from what I can see, she's going to be something special. She's got a thick body frame, she's got some power behind her, and she can move. So, what you can expect from a luchadora. I was going to say a lucha libre. That's not what you call them. She's a luchador or a luchadora. And I was definitely looking forward to seeing her before this match, and I am looking forward to seeing her again after her first impression, leaving a little bit less than I anticipated. But I only expect her to go up from here. As the nerves start to dwell and you get more comfortable in and around Full Sail University, she's going to be just fine. And fantastic. Fantastic. Match number 2 of episode 1 was Serena Deeb, the former Straight Edge Society member, coming back for a story of redemption, which I'm absolutely behind her on, versus Vanessa Bourne, a beautiful Samoan lady, not related to any of the Samoans we already know as far as I can tell, and they haven't said anything, so I'm going to assume that that is the case. An excellent showing for both of these girls. Very competitive, very athletic. Deeb was fantastic. She looked like she had no ring rust at all. She looks like she could use a couple of fucking cheeseburgers, though. She looks like she's dying. And when you see her older pictures from when she was with Straight Edge Society, she was beautiful, man. She had a nice frame on her. She was healthy looking. She wasn't big at all. Well, she was a little big at one point, but she got herself nice. And now she's all like indented and a little scared. I'm a little concerned about Serena Deeb's look, but I'm sure she's okay, or else they wouldn't have let her, compete in this tournament. And Vanessa Bourne, on the other hand, absolutely took me by surprise. I knew nothing at all about this girl, and she came out there and she threw down, making Deeb look fantastic. She made herself look great. They almost seemed like natural rivals, like maybe they've wrestled each other before on the independents. I don't know, but I really did enjoy this match. A spear out of nowhere by Serena Deeb would allow her to get the 1, 2, 3 for the win, moving on to round number 2. So then match number 3 for episode 1 comes along, and we have MMA fighter Shayna Baszler versus Zeta, the first of 2 competitors from China. And this was 2 experienced grapplers, MMA style. I felt like I was watching a UFC fight at times. They were just very kind of feeling each other out at first and grabbing at each other, throwing a few punches here and there, and then we had a nice little takedown sequence here and there, and in the end, after a strong striking game from both women, it would be Baszler, winning by tap out, with her fellow 4 horsewomen watching at ringside. So Baszler, we all knew, was going to be one hell of a tough fight. She's going to be hard to get through in this tournament. Zeta, coming from China, I thought, with the WWE machine behind her, would be pushed a little bit harder and would have got out of the first round, but that is not the case. But she did have a fantastic showing. Her kicks were fucking awesome. She was very, very strong in this match. She did not look bad at all. She's another one that I think, being that this is just the beginning of her career and she hasn't had much experience, sky's the limit for Zeta. The main event for episode number 1 was Abby Lath versus Jazzy Gabbert, and this match surprised the shit out of me. When they announced this match, I was like, okay, whatever, we'll see. But Gabbert was absolutely impressive. She is near 6 feet tall. She's a beautiful girl, but she's fucking frightening. Frightening as all hell. I wouldn't want to see myself in the ring across from her. She's got like 3 or 4 inches in height on me. She's probably got way more muscle mass than I do, and she would fucking destroy me. I felt bad for this Abby Lath girl. But in what we will see a lot of in this tournament, the bigger, more powerful, and intimidating Jazzy Gabbert would end up losing to the smaller, spunky, little monkey, Abby Lath. She was fantastic. She landed a beautiful senton bomb. Gabbert, no matter how hard she hit this girl, could not get the 3 count, could not put her away, and it would end with a very unique flash roll-up. One that they said before the match is a roll-up that Mae Young had helped to innovate in her early days, and Abby Lath would shock the world and take out the big German monster from this tournament. I want to say one thing before I forget this. Jazzy Gabbert should be brought up to the main roster immediately. Don't stop at NXT. Get her up there now. She is exactly what we need for the women's division right now. She is beautiful despite her horrendous haircut and her manly, muscular body. Way prettier than Chyna ever was, even after she fixed her face. And she is strong. She is super powerful. She could give anybody a run for their money. All you got to do is the very same thing you did with Chyna, who was a very similar body frame of this girl. Put her in the crowd at an at a main event for Raw or SmackDown. Have the girls out there having a match, and then you have her jump the guardrail and just start taking girls out. And you immediately will have a new superstar heel in the women's division. That's how good she was. That's where she needs to be. This girl's been wrestling for a long time. She doesn't need to waste her time down in NXT. She could learn slowly on the main roster like people used to do. Let's do it. Abby Lath, definitely NXT bound. She had a lot of tenacity. She just would not quit. She's got a great personality, and I think she's going to go far in the company. I think her next match might be her last match in this tournament, but we'll get to that when we get there. We're going to go on to episode number 2 of round number 1, which kicked off with Xia Li, the second entrant from China, versus Mercedes Martinez, another MMA versus Chinese athlete. This match was very, very good. And if you watch the preview, you know I was very skeptical of this particular Xia Li. This was going to be her first ever wrestling match ever. She's never wrestled anywhere. She's been training since she's been at the Performance Center, but her experience is based in combat sports and in martial arts. And that definitely took place and took precedence during this match. That was her go-to thing. And when this match kicked off, she kicked off, and her feet were just flying, and she took Mercedes Martinez by surprise. She was not prepared for the power and speed that was coming out of this little Chinese firecracker. It was absolutely beautiful to watch, unleashing her martial artistry unlike anything I've seen from the women so far. Striking ability unbelievable from both of these women. But even though she was off her game, it would only take, like a master chess player, 3 moves for Mercedes Martinez to hit Xia Li with a spinebuster, wrap her in the head with a good roundhouse, or a forearm I believe it was, and then lock her up in this very painful looking reverse modified dragon sleeper. Gets her to tap out for the victory. Fucking great opening match for this episode as well. Match number 2 on this card would be the daughter of WWE Hall of Famer Paul Ellering and Lance Storm trainee Rachel Evers going one-on-one versus Marty Bell, who was a pupil of the legendary Johnny Rodz and trained just down the street here in Brooklyn. And going into this match, I was very pro Evers. You guys know I love my second generation, third generation stars. And at the onset of this match, it was very slow paced, and I was like, oh, well, this doesn't look very good. This looks like they don't really know each other very well, and it looked a little awkward at times, but then all of a sudden, it was getting good, and the getting got good real quick, and the fists started flying. We had some really hard hits. We had a lot of real ground and pound technical kind of stuff going on, and more than anything, there were 2 tremendous spots by Rachel Evers, the first of which being a springboard spinning leg drop, which just took my breath away. It was absolutely beautiful. I'm sure I've seen it before, but I have not seen it in such a long time that I feel like I've never seen it before, and it was fucking magical. What else was magical was she pulled this other move out of her backpack that I never seen before. I know I never seen before. She wraps up Marty Bell in a fisherman suplex position, picks her up like she's going to perfect plex her, and then drops her face first between her legs in a flapjack. I called it a Fisherman Buster's flapjack because they didn't call it on the announce team. They didn't have a name for it. JR didn't give us the technical term for it. So that's what I'm calling it. The Fisherman Buster flapjack. Fucking unbelievable. 2 things that I never really seen before by Rachel Evers, who would end up winning this thing with an inside cradle. An inside cradle, you don't see that every day. We've seen schoolboy roll-ups and all this other shit. We haven't seen an inside cradle win a match probably since maybe Hogan did it to Iron Sheik back in 1984. Who the hell knows? The next match on this card, match number 3, would feature the 20-year-old youngest competitor in the Mae Young Classic, Rhea Ripley, versus Booker T's graduate from the Reality of Wrestling promotion in Houston, Texas, Miranda Salinas. By the way, thoughts and prayers with everybody in Texas going through that Hurricane Harvey situation. Should have probably opened with that. I forgot all about it until I talked about this right now. I apologize for that. But I've been through and survived a hurricane situation. I know how hard it is, and I offer all of my deepest sympathies to you. And if anybody knows of any way you want to support them or help to donate, I know the WWE highlighted a package on that, on their programming, and on the WWE Network. Please feel free to donate to whoever you wish to donate to. And we all know that Booker T's family is safe and is doing okay. He will not be on Monday Night Raw tonight, but he is okay. So, little side note there. Miranda Salinas, a graduate of Booker T's school. This was one of the matches of this thing that was a repeated trend of the mismatch. The big girl versus the little girl. And Salinas here is 5 feet tall. And Rhea Ripley is almost 6 feet tall. There's pretty much a 1 foot differential between the two. And it just felt awkward. It was a weird match. It was a good match. It wasn't a bad match. But Ripley hits a big boot, because she's the big girl. Kevin Nash type of moveset. Much improved, because Nash's moveset really wasn't that great, right? Who am we kidding? You know what I'm saying? He was just a big boot machine, right? But this girl's a lot better than that. She also hit a running corner drop kick a la Finn Balor, and then a sweet roundhouse kick I thought took this little girl's head and sent it all the way back to Texas, and then hits a beautiful full Nelson slam for the 1, 2, 3. Main event of episode number 2 would be Mia Yim, who we all knew from TNA as the Knockout Jade, versus Sarah Logan, who I have been familiar with through NXT. She's popped up a few times. I've seen her live at the Brooklyn show, and up until this point was not overly impressed, but this match was fucking great. This match was so great that I couldn't even take notes. I couldn't take my eyes off the screen. That's how intense it was. I don't have very much written down here. You want to see? Let me just read what I have written down. Very hard hitting. These girls are beating the shit out of each other, because that's exactly what I saw. Trading fists and elbows. Awesome match. That's my notes on that match. It was so good. I could not keep very detailed on the situation. That was fucking fantastic. I already knew what Mia Yim could bring to the table from having watched her in TNA. She's always been very technically sound, very, very strong. Her story is very strong, being a survivor of domestic abuse. And Sarah Logan as well. She came up, growing up country strong, all that shit, right? But it works because this girl is tough as fucking nails. She took some shots there that would have knocked me the fuck out. Guarantee you. I'm no pro wrestler, but she would have fucking knocked me clean out. Probably wouldn't have woke up for about a fucking week. Some of the elbows that these girls were throwing. Some of the kicks that they were sustaining. Sarah Logan is a beast. She's a beast. They should definitely get her into more of a rotation in NXT. She's got a lot of potential. She's actually a very pretty girl. If you look behind the weird dreads and that country thing going on, you could see that she's got a great look. And they would do well to promote Sarah Logan very quickly, especially off the heels of this match. She would come out with the loss in this scenario. Mia Yim would win and advance in the Mae Young Classic. So we are going to have Mia Yim, one of the hardest strikers and hardest fighters I have seen in this point, up until this point so far, going one-on-one against MMA superstar, 4-horsewoman member, Shayna Baszler, in the next round. That match is going to be fucking sick. We are going to also have in round number 2, Princessa Suhei versus Mercedes Martinez. That is going to be another match. We have the Luchadora versus the MMA superstar. Both of these girls can kick the shit out of anybody. Going to be a fierce match. We had Rachel Evers getting the win over Marty Bell. She is moving on and will be facing Abby Lath. That is a very, very interesting matchup. Almost a babyface versus babyface scenario. Rachel Evers' athleticism and Abby Lath's no-quit persona is going to make for a great fucking match. Rhea Ripley and Serena Deeb will also be moving along in this tournament. Who will they be facing? You're going to have to tune in to part 2 of our coverage of the Mae Young Classics opening round, coming at you later on today, right here on Sledgehammer TV. Thank you guys so much for joining us here today. This has been a fun show to watch. This is going to be a fun show to cover, and we have only just begun. I am Nick Nightmare. This is Blue the Snowball Microphone. Thank you guys so much, and I am out of here. That's going to do it. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time for more Mae Young Classic coverage right here on the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. Stay tuned.